So I am presenting Sharing Meals Together, a guide to smarter potlucks. And when we, of course, sent out the ballot last year, and this was one of the chosen leader lessons, we put this together, I think like early March as when we were going to present these lessons. And then I think the next week is when everything started to shut down for Corona. So obviously we'll talk about our recommendations for potlucks now, but we just kept it in the going, even though right now we are a little bit limited. So I first wanted to start off, since we are talking about potlucks, just looking at our updated guidelines right now for our meetings. So hopefully some people, if you're comfortable and able to move back to socially distanced, safe meetings, that you can do that. But of course, we are still not sharing food or drinks or having any buffets or potlucks of that type. So again, this is all information that we can use in the future and take with us when we're starting to meet back more regularly. And this is just a flyer. I think a lot of people have put this in their newsletter, that when we do start meeting, UK took the CDC considerations and made a like low risk, more risk, or higher risk potluck options. So if you want to keep it the very most low risk, then, of course, you don't want to use food. You don't want to, virtual is the best opportunity. So that's just something for you to consider and look over in the future when we are able to start having food again at our homemaker meetings. In the back, just give some tips to reduce your risk as much as possible. So back to the presentation. I'm Madison. I should introduce myself. And I am the Nicholas County Extension Agent. And if I haven't met you yet, hopefully we will in the future when we get back to hopefully meeting, doing more in person things. So according to the Centers for Disease Control, Kentucky ranks very poorly in health, falling in the top 10 in the nation due to diabetes, heart disease, cancers. Food choices are an important factor in the management and prevention of these diseases. So this is a pilot project that is designed to aid participants in thinking about smarter ways to navigate communal meals like potlucks. People with health issues may have problems identifying dishes at potluck meals that meet their dietary constraints. Others may be looking for healthier choices as part of their overall eating patterns. This lesson provides tools and techniques to make healthy choices the easier choice at your potluck. So a potluck can be known as many different things. You hear people call them a covered dish supper, a carry-in dinner, a shared meal, or a fellowship meal, but they're all pretty much the same thing, a communal meal. We think about potluck meals, a large buffet table with delicious, but often unhealthy food choices. So today we're going to think about some smarter ways to navigate potlucks to better meet specific nutritional needs and promote healthier choices for those in attendance. Traditional potluck meals can be a challenge. People with health issues may have problems identifying dishes at a potluck that meet their dietary constraints. Others may be looking for healthier choices as a part of their overall eating pattern. The Sharing Meals lesson does not provide a list of foods to remove the meals typically offered. Instead, this lesson will provide tools and techniques to help make healthy choice the easy choice. That's the introduction. So we will start with an icebreaker. And this one I think might be pretty difficult, maybe not as difficult in a normal year, but I'm sure there hasn't been too many potlucks that we've been attending lately. But our first icebreaker is to just close your eyes and visualize the last potluck that you attended. So that might be like over a year ago. But if you can do it, just try to visualize. Think about how the meal was presented. Think about the food placement. Where was the main meal? The beverages, the desserts. I'll let you think about it for a second. Okay. Does anybody like remember right off the bat the last time that they had a buffet style meal potluck? And can you tell me any specific things that you remember, maybe about how the meal was arranged, or just in general, maybe not the last potluck, but just in general, any trends that you see at potlucks based on the setup? And y'all are muted right now, so you'll have to unmute first if you would like to speak.
Well, the one I'm thinking of is our homemaker potluck that we have for the college students at EKU. And that's generally been in February. So we didn't have it this past February, but the one before is the last one I was at for potluck. And we traditionally have a long table set up with all the foods that the homemakers bring. And then there's a separate table for drinks.
So do you organize your food in any specific way?
Well, they usually put the like meat dishes in one, area, starting at the front, at the front of the thing, and then the vegetable dishes and so forth, and then they go down toward the desserts are always at the end. Isn't that the way we usually do it?
Common.
Yeah.
Well, we just had, am I muted now or can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. We just had an instance last weekend where we had to have a meal for a family as a result of a death at our church. So normally our potlucks are like Joni says, you start off with your meats and your vegetables, your salads, and then the desserts are on a separate area and the drinks are on a separate area. So we couldn't ask people to bring food. So we kind of bought chicken and things like that from the local restaurant. And then 2 or 3 of us filled in with other things. But instead of letting people come along and pick up their plate and fill it up by themselves, we served it with our gloves on and did it that way. And so we tried to be as safe as possible and everybody had on their mask. And so
would you say like in the past, was that normally a thing, or would they self-serve typically?
they would self-serve normally, because there's usually a wider variety of things to choose from. And, people, we just let them fill up their own plates. But this time we served them.
Gotcha. Have you ever noticed at any of your potlucks before, have they ever been labeled? Like usually are the dishes labeled?
Most of the time, if something has mushrooms in it or peanuts in it, there'll be noted, there'll be a notice that this has that in there. Same thing for sugar-free things. For the drinks, we may have tea that's unsweet or, that kind of thing. Just to let people know if they have an allergy, that's something they need to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
When we do for the EKU students, a lot of those, some of them are vegetarians, and a lot of them can't have pork because they're from, countries that can't have that. So we always label.
So what about plate sizes? I feel like that's pretty important, depending on where you go and who you're with. Is there any trends that you notice of that? I'll say personally, depends on maybe what potluck you're going to. You want to make sure your plate is as big as possible, or maybe you want to make sure your plate is as small as possible.
Yeah, it's whatever regular size dinner plate would be. Unless it's Thanksgiving, and then we give them a big one.
I would agree with that. Okay. So also, have you thought about the food and beverages that you've selected? Do you try to avoid certain things when you cook potluck type meals, or maybe you cook whatever and you label it? What do you think about those types of things?
You mean as to nutrition or?
I mean, yes, or allergies or anything like that. Do you try to keep other people in mind, or do you just like to fix a favorite dish?
I usually fix my favorite dish and just say, eat, this has got so-and-so in it. So if you can't eat mushrooms, this has got cream of mushroom soup in it. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. So if it's been a while since you've been at your last potluck, this might be a harder question, but if you remember, that'd be great. Do you feel like you typically make good choices, healthy choices at potlucks, or maybe do you indulge more at your last potluck, if you can remember?
Well, I think we probably indulge more at any potluck, and I try to eat things that I don't normally cook. Maybe my family doesn't like lima beans. Then if that's at the potluck, I'm going to eat them.
I think we indulge because most people bring their best cooking to a potluck. So you get your best selection. So yeah.
Now, do you hear who made that? Who made this? This is good.
I feel like a lot of people might have their favorite best thing that they cook, so that they know that person is going to be at that potluck and they're going to bring that good.
Right.
Whatever, you definitely have to get that.
Mm-hmm. And if we're going someplace that we're not familiar with who's doing the cooking, my husband will say, now, what are you taking? So I'll know, that I can eat what I know.
It's true. Well, all good things. Hopefully we can, of course, move back to that at some point. So in this lesson, we're just talking about some different things that can make your potlucks more economical and smarter and healthier. So there's 5 different ways that they talk about the most, and there is to manage your portion sizes, to increase convenience of healthy foods, improve visibility of healthy foods, enhance taste expectations, and use suggestive strategies. So those are all different ways that we'll talk about in the next little bit. So the idea for sharing meals was inspired by smarter lunchroom practices. Smarter lunchrooms identified simple, easy to implement strategies for making healthier foods. The work is guided by behavior economics principles and was developed by Cornell University. So smarter potlucks can be implemented by these same strategies to make healthy choices at communal meals. So our first one we'll talk about is to manage portion sizes, because as we just talked about, I like to get a lot of those mashed potatoes or broccoli casserole or whatever at Thanksgiving. If we're trying to be healthier, this is their suggestions to manage your portion sizes and to keep portion sizes appropriate. You can use pre-portioned foods in snack sizes and strategically chosen serving sizes, serving utensils, and containers. Use large serving utensils for healthier food options and smaller serving utensils for less healthy options. If guests customarily choose more than one dessert, pre-cut desserts into smaller portions. Use smaller plates like 9-inch luncheon plates instead of the 10-inch dinner plates or platters, and a 10 to 12 ounce cup instead of a 16 to 20 ounce cup to manage portion sizes and reduce waste. So like we talked about, maybe your Thanksgiving plate is the very biggest plate you can possibly find. But if you're trying to provide a smaller, maybe lunch for, a smaller group, if you went with the smaller lunch size plate, you could manage your portion sizes easier. So that is one of their suggestions. And then increasing convenience of healthy foods. So make healthy foods more convenient than less healthy options. If we place the healthier options, such as undressed salads and raw vegetables first at the food table, place water and unsweetened drinks first in line at the beverage station, and offer single servings of raw vegetables in small cups ready to grab and go. Provide separate bowls for fruit and salad in the buffet line. So in my mind, I think maybe if people fill up in the first little bit and then they get to the end of the line and their plate is full and then they get to the vegetables, the fruits, the salads, they'll be like, well, no more room. Guess I can't get any of this. I'm sure everybody, has their different thoughts, but maybe that's along the lines of what they're thinking. And also maybe if you don't provide a salad bowl, people feel like they have to share the room on their plate with a salad. But if they could have their own salad bowl, then you could fill that bowl up and then have room on your plate for your other meal choices. So, well, that's a pretty good idea to make sure that there's salad bowls available. And improve visibility. Oh, wait. Yes. Of healthy foods. So foods that are easy to see are selected and eaten according to research by the Smarter Lunchrooms movement. So if you make your healthy foods at the start, front, center, and colorful, exciting and impossible to ignore. For example, a red tablecloth could be placed at the front of the line for foods that are heart healthy, or use a cake stand or other objects to raise healthier options closer to eye level. And you can enhance taste expectations. Foods that look delicious and sound delicious are more likely to taste delicious. Showcase raw fruits and vegetables by arranging bite-sized pieces in individual cups with an assortment of colors. You could try fruit kebabs on a coffee stir stick, use colorful serving bowls, or colorful placemats underneath healthier options. I know for kids, we always like to name foods so that they think it's, maybe something better than it is, like these cute little dolphin bananas. Those are more fun. It's better than a regular banana. It's a dolphin banana. So you might go for things that look a little bit better or are a little more pretty, maybe. And you can also use suggestive strategies, like use signage and train staff, or if you have volunteers, to promote the healthy food with positive prompts. So pair a healthy food item with some of the group's favorites, such as serving raw vegetables with dips on the side, placing fresh fruit on the dessert table, or serving ice cold milk next to the desserts. Use signs or color coding to identify foods that are lower in sodium to meet other special food needs. So those are their suggested strategies. So thinking back to our icebreaker a couple minutes ago when we thought about our last potluck, can anybody think of a time that they maybe noticed any of these strategies that were being used and you just maybe didn't know it at the time, but now you know it? I mean, I would say personally, all of the ways that you might name something or do like the little dolphin banana. Like when you're little, you don't think of that, but now you're like, just really want you to eat this. Anybody else think of any opportunities that they've had to notice?
One of the first ones I think of that's as old as Methuselah is ants on a log. Did y'all ever do the ants on a log with the celery sticks and the peanut butter and the raisins? And that's, I think of others, but that one my parents used with me, and I've used with my kids and my grandkids. So
that is a great example. I also thought about where they raise up fruits and vegetables, or like the fruit at the end of the table versus like maybe putting the desserts on the table. I thought that was a great idea. And I think I've seen that before too.
Well, I've noticed that whatever is at the beginning of the table those dishes are going to be empty before the ones that's on down the line are. So that's a good idea to put the healthier things up front because, that's what they see first.
Mm-hmm. People are hungry, so they're going to start taking.
Right.
Yeah, perfect. So maybe in your groups or somebody in your family or maybe your church friends, you might know somebody that has, or maybe you yourself has special food needs. So going to potlucks may be sometimes more challenging, or you have to think ahead, or once you get there, plan ahead. So this talks a little bit about that. So to prepare for individuals who have specific food needs, it's a good idea to assess the group before a potluck meal. Use a simple survey with members of the group to determine if special food needs are present. If it is not necessary to identify, it is not necessary to identify members of the group who have special food needs. Instead, provide a method to communicate which dishes of the potluck meet specific needs. There might be a small sign, colored dot sticker, or color-coded placemat available to identify these dishes. Post a sign explaining the color system. For example, if several people in the group express a need for low sodium foods, use blue to indicate foods with no salt added. Blue stickers would be available for people who bring food with no added salt to identify those dishes. So I know you had mentioned that you do, if you make something with mushrooms, you would identify that your food item has mushrooms. Does anybody else have like a sticker system or a way to identify foods that maybe have allergies or salt added or anything like that they would like to share?
I know we have a few that have to have gluten-free foods, so we'll mark those, you know, that's something that they can eat safely.
That is a big concern.
If you're color coding these stickers, do you have to have a sign that says if this code means?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's what they're recommending. Maybe if you have someone or a couple people that need gluten-free or they're allergic to nuts, or there's a couple things, then you might need to have a chart with the stickers for the color.
Yeah, most of the time I just put a thing on a toothpick and stick it down in the dish.
That's good, just to make sure people know that works.
Yeah, exactly.
So in this lesson, they also had the Savvy sign-up sheets, and I don't think I had sent this out. So if anybody wants this, then I can email it to you. And it talks about how many groups use some sort of sign up. I know my homemakers on a normal year, they love to communicate what foods who is bringing to their next meeting. So this is just an example of a way to have a sign up sheet, but it focuses on the items that are needed. So it allows more space on the page for healthier options, for salads, vegetables, and then less healthy options. So they want more of the salads, more of the fresh fruit and dip, less dessert, less starchy things. So instead of just having a blank sheet and you can put as many desserts on there as you like, this only gives you 2 spaces for desserts. So once those spaces are gone, bring a dessert. You got to bring a salad. So I think this is a pretty good sign up sheet that I can email you if you would like it, that you can use. So in the salad section, it specifies putting dressing on the side, which I think is important for maybe somebody that if they would like to use ranch, or if they like to use a healthier option like a vinaigrette, then you have that. And if the group customarily only offers fried meats, include healthier options for some. And specify water and low-fat milk in addition to the usual beverages. So if you usually just have sweet tea, which I like my tea sweet, real sweet, maybe you want to have some water or other things so that I could choose to have water instead, then rather than my regular.
How do we let you know that we want you to email us?
I was going to say, and again, I'm new at doing this. So let me, I can put my email in the chat. I didn't know if I could do it at the same time, but I can't.
Can you just send one to the Madison County Extension Office, and then each of our clubs could pick up that there?
I didn't know the best way, but let me make that note before. Okay. We'll send to the Madison County. We'll send to all offices.
There are a lot of people that don't have computers that would print it off, and
yes, yeah.
That way, when I go to get to the extension office, I can get that and just give everybody one, and they'll have it to use.
Perfect. Yeah, there's a lot of good material with this lesson, so make sure people get it.
I can think of one instance that would have been very smart, because years ago we had potlucks all the time with our homemakers club. There was one night we ended up with like 6 platters of dressed eggs. We just laughed over that.
That's funny. Well, so yeah, this is a perfect way that you know who's bringing what, and that you know you're not going to have 6
platters.
Love that. Perfect. So also, this lesson wants to focus on maybe having smarter recipes. So maybe you do have your famous, like this one uses hash brown casserole. Maybe you have your famous hash brown casserole that you usually bring, that maybe has a little extra salt or cheese or, anything like that. So maybe if you want to reconsider some other healthier options, that's always, a choice. So it says many traditional potluck favorites come from recipes of the past when people might have been less aware of how food influences health. Those same recipes can be modified to have less salt, sugar, or fat, and increase fiber and nutrients. So maybe if you have been making the same recipe for a very long time, if you want to try to switch it up, that works. Maybe add a little bit less salt.
I'd try experimenting with it first and trying it to see if it still tastes the same.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. And also, if you make like your famous whatever and people are expecting it to be extra buttery, extra salty, extra everything, you're really trying to be healthier for everybody. You also might want to warn people, because that could be, be important.
Not what they were expecting.
Yeah, exactly. So just something to think about. And of course, if we were together, like on a normal year, this has a food demonstration that we could have done with the hash brown casserole. So sad that can't be a part of our lesson. But again, hopefully we can start, at some point by doing those fun things again. I think this just had us preparing the meal to demonstrate the recipe or have it prepared ahead of time, and just discuss how we modified the ingredients. So that's what we would have done. And next is really important with potlucks, your food safety. I'm sure that that's something that probably all of us maybe think about or have in the back of our minds. Sorry, the phone is ringing. We know how we prepare our food, and we make sure that we keep it cool or hot to the best that we can do. But you don't always know what other people are doing. So as long as you make sure you're doing all that you can, that's all we can do. So potluck meals are a wonderful way to share food and time with others. Foodborne illnesses is definitely not something we want to share with others. When preparing for a potluck meal, remember that following 4 simple steps can protect families and friends and keep food safe. So we want to make sure that clean, of course, our hands are clean, our surfaces are clean, our dishes, utensils, everything is clean. Make sure we separate our raw meats from our other foods. That we cook everything to the right temperature. And that we chill and refrigerate food promptly. And before I started this job, I can definitely say I never paid attention to how long our food hung out on the counter after Thanksgiving meal. But now, knowing what I know, and after being in this job, I'm like, oh, we should probably get that put up, sooner rather than later. But I've heard that people, well, my family, I'll use my family as an example. They like to graze. That's like their thing. They think that that's the best. And I agree. Like I like to too. But some things are not particularly grazable, things that need to be refrigerated. So if anybody has any thing, I don't know if anybody else's family is a grazing type also.
I think with summer coming, a lot of this is probably more important to adhere to. Like I remember putting some ice in a bowl and setting a salad in it so that it would stay cool.
I was going to share, I just saw the other day, you do learn some things on Facebook. Okay. I know there's some bad stuff there, but you can learn some things too. Somebody had taken, the big roaster pans that we fix the turkey in at Thanksgiving or Christmas. They put that about a third of the way full of water, set it in a deep freeze, let it freeze. And then they had another roaster pan, the same size, but they put their lettuce in and set it on top of the one that had the ice in it. And I thought, oh, that is so simple. Why didn't I think of it? But yeah, I thought I'd share that when we're talking about chilling, because that's the biggest issue, especially in the summer, is keeping those things cool.
Definitely. That's a really good idea. Facebook can be useful sometimes. So while this is not a food safety lesson, keeping food safe is an important part of a potluck. Educate others who prepare food for potlucks about the 4 safety steps. For a potluck meal, 2 of the most important steps are safely transporting food to the meal site and holding the food at a safe temperature until mealtime. Hot foods should be kept at more than over 140 degrees Fahrenheit until serving time. And your cool food should stay below 40 degrees Fahrenheit until serving time. Here are some tips for keeping hot foods hot and cold foods cold for potluck meals. You can wrap hot foods and place in a well-insulated container to transport. A slow cooker can be used to transport hot foods and then plugged in at the site to keep the food warm. Hot foods may be placed in a food warming cabinet set above 140 degrees Fahrenheit or an oven set at 200 degrees. Store cold foods inside the refrigerator. Place cold foods in a cooler with ice packs or cold packs. So those are all some things that we probably do now, but we know is very important to make sure our food stays the safest. So just make sure that you're using clean containers and utensils to serve your food. And when a dish is empty or nearly empty, replace with a fresh container of food and remove the previous container. And immediately refrigerate or freeze leftovers in a shallow container. Perishable foods such as meat, poultry, eggs, and casseroles left at room temperature longer than 2 hours, 1 hour temperature above 90 degrees should be discarded. Exceptions to this rule are foods like cookies, crackers, breads, and whole fruit. So, pretty important part of your potlucks. Provide healthy options, but also make sure you keep it safe and cool or warm. Okay. So this is another activity that I wish we could be together to do because it sounds pretty fun. So if we were together and we did have a potluck style meal, there is an assessment tool that you can use to determine if your potluck measures up. So I think I have this on my screen. Stop sharing really quick. Let me pull it up so we can look at it. And I think that everybody should have this one, every office. I think I sent this one. View full screen. Share my screen again. So this is a way that you can determine if your potluck measures up to being safe and healthy. So starting off with your smarter sizes, look at the plates that you use, the cups that we talked about, how big they are, the dessert plates, the healthier options having larger utensils. And then the smarter lineup, just if there's places for people to clean their hands, take unwanted food, make sure that there's somewhere to store your hot foods or somewhere to store your cold foods. If you have water options or healthier beverage options. And then of course, the smarter fruits and vegetables. If you offer salad first, your fruits and vegetables first with the salad dressing on the side. Anything like that. And then your desserts are pre-cut into smaller taste size portions. Fruit is available on the dessert table. Cold low-fat milk is offered, and some low-fat or low-sugar options are available on the dessert table. So that is a tool you can use at your next potluck, which hopefully is not forever away. You could use that to see how your potluck would measure up, being healthy and safe according to this sharing meals. So I thought that was a pretty good tool. And again, it kind of just highlights everything that we talked about, just the key points to make it smarter and healthier. So I think that's a pretty good.
Did you say that the extension offices would have that?
I think I sent that in the email. I mean,
I'm looking, I don't remember seeing it, so
there was a lot of material with this, so it was hard for me to break everything out in the beginning.
It may have been, I didn't scroll down, so let me look. I'll have an answer before you finish.
Okay, but it might not be, because I will gladly send this plus the sign up sheet if not. But again, there's a lot of material with this, so at the beginning I really didn't know what all was super important when I sent this originally. So I will make sure that that gets to you, because I think this is a really good tool.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, because even if you don't use it as it's basically just a checklist, whether you're, you can think about yourself. Am I making sure that I have these options for these people? Am I making sure that I am being as safe as possible? So I think this is a great tool. Now I'll make sure that you all get it. Okay. Oh, so I'm going to have to stop sharing my screen again to get this off and go back to our original. Okay, should be back. Oops. Okay. So basically, it's just, I say it's time for action, but as we talked about, maybe for those that joined us a little bit after we had started, it says it's time for action, and I really wish it was, but currently we are not allowed to, based on our KEHA guidelines, we are not having potlucks or buffets yet. So that's not happening right now. For us anyway. So when it is time for action, when we do get that go ahead from, the CDC and the governor in UK, hopefully you can take these tools and use them with your clubs or, your families or whoever that you gather with and have these types of meals with. So you can just make sure with your groups that you try to promote the importance of smarter potluck meals that offer healthier options to follow food safety guidelines. You can identify special dietary needs of individuals within the group. You can use your handy sign-up method that best fits the group's needs. You can share the smarter potluck strategies, the smarter sizes, the smarter lineup, smarter vegetables, smart beverages, smarter sweets. You can evaluate the potluck meal by completing our how does your potluck measure up checklist. And you can use all of those things with your group. So as we complete the lesson, it's important to think about what you learned. And maybe if you'd like to answer these questions, I love conversation more than just me talking. So please feel free to give me some feedback. So does anybody think differently, or you have maybe a takeaway that you want to share with your group when we are able to have potlucks again that you think would be important for them?
In smaller groups, I think the presentation works better than it does in larger groups, because you can do individual cups easier than you could, for a large group, for a small group. And so, they're all good ideas and things that we probably hadn't thought of.
Why should maybe your group or organization care about this information? I guess I hope that, the people that I have a potluck with care about this information, because we want them to be smart and safe about their food preparation. I think that's pretty important. You want to make sure that the people you're with care about being safe, so that they don't share any foodborne illnesses with you. So I think that's one reason why they would care.
Is anyone on here from Fayette County? Okay.
Mary is.
I don't think Diana would mind me sharing this, but she just lost a brother to botulism. So I think her brother passed away, and that's what it was botulism. It was foodborne illness. And that has really brought it right up in our face of how important all this is. So
yes, and it's something that we think that we know about, but I mean, you don't always think that you're going to know somebody or it's going to be that close to you, but it can happen.
And we think it might just be a tummy ache or something. I mean, I'm sure that we've all had a touch of it at some point in time, but I tell you, with Larry's death, that just really has brought my attention more to it than ever.
Yes. So
I did want to tell you.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I did want to tell you while I was talking, if the people here are on here, if you'll put your email addresses in the chat room, if you'll type your email address, it'll be recorded. Those of you, and that way you can send it straight to them, Madison. We didn't get that last one. Okay, I've searched and searched. The others we'll send it to the agents, but that way you won't have to make a trip into the office if you want it sent directly to you. Is that okay? I'm sorry, go on with your question.
No, that's a great idea. I'm still getting used to using Zoom. So whatever way is easiest, I'm good with. Can anybody think of people who might resist change? Maybe somebody that doesn't want the little finger size small portions of desserts. They definitely want their large piece of chocolate cake or grandma's famous super buttery, super salty, extra good mashed potatoes. I mean, I say that maybe myself because that sounds really good, and I have certain family members that make really good things, and I might be a little resistant if they try to make their, certain dishes healthier. But anybody else think of situations where you might have that?
Not to making them healthier, but my mother is the worst. She resists this so much. And I'm wondering what we ate growing up now, but she made I'll give an example. I'm cooking every single Sunday for my whole family now, but she wanted to help a couple Sundays ago, and she was going to make deviled eggs. And I said, okay, that's good. That's good. We get there, they're sitting on the table, and we get there like an hour before we're getting ready to eat. And I said something to her. I said, Mom, I think I'll just set these in the refrigerator until we're ready. Well, we never have before. I said, I know, but I'm just getting a little pickier about that. And I said, I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator. She said, well, they've been sitting there since I finished them yesterday. So needless to say, as people came in for lunch, I kept saying, don't eat the deviled eggs, don't eat the deviled eggs. But then I wonder, I really do, but we were raised, and some of you might be my age, we were raised where we put food on the table at noon for the hands, and then threw a tablecloth over it, and then ate the leftovers for supper. Stuff was never refrigerated. So that's a hard, that's not making things healthier, it's making them safer, but that's a hard change for some people. My mother.
I'd say that's probably pretty common.
Yeah. Oh, cute.
There is a pledge, which I know I didn't include this because I was like, well, we're not really meeting right now, so I don't know how relevant this is right now. But you can, in the future, make a pledge to try to be smarter with your potlucks. So it's almost the end. And I don't know how everybody distributes their evaluations, but I do know that was in the email. So if you do have an evaluation and you'd like to leave and send that in, that would be great, because that's just one of the options. But we appreciate your being here, and we hope that you can use the Measure Up program to improve your potlucks in the future. And hopefully in the future, we can move back to having our programs in person so that we can have these potlucks and be able to get together again. So that's pretty much the end of my program. If anybody has any questions or thoughts, feel free to share. I'm going to be here.
I only see 2 people that wanted emailed to them. Is that correct? HD Eden and Mary Colvin.
I had a message directly to me, or well, so did you get that too, Kay?
I got those 2.
But I will still send it to every agent.
I sent a message directly to Madison before they told us to put our email in the chat. So, and I found the presentation on the extension website, but not those 2 forms. Okay.
Gotcha. Yes, this entire presentation was put together for me, so it might be out there, Yeah,
it's actually under the Lincoln County Extension Office is where I found it.
Because on the next slide, it has the presenter contact information as not me, but I'm one of our specialists that did this work and did, so obviously we'll give her the credit. This was all her, this is what she did, but of course for us to share with you all. She's our regional specialist for food and nutrition, and she does a lot of good work. So if you have any more specific questions, her information is on there also, that if you would like to contact her, she is available to have that. So if anybody has any extra thoughts, we'll take that. But if not, I appreciate you all joining. I think I got the last leader lesson of the year, of our program year, since I had a baby in the fall. They were nice enough to let me do the last one, which I know people are pretty much zoomed out by this point, and I don't blame you. Ready for a break and ready to get back together in person. So I appreciate all of you that are here with us.
Thank you.
And if you haven't voted for next year's lessons, make sure you do that ASAP, because we're getting ready to meet to set those up to figure out which ones won on the ballot. And each office has a ballot. So you can contact your FCS agent and they will send you a copy of that ballot if you don't already have one. But there's like 12 lessons on there in their Madison, something like that. Yeah. And we narrow it down to 9 based on your vote.
Oh, we're supposed to pick 8.
Yeah, I think it's 8.
8, I'm sorry. 8 cake, kind, whatever. No.
Yeah, we had it in our newsletter.
That's where we put out.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you, Madison.
Thank you all. I'm gonna stop my recording.